This is CBC Nova Scotia News.
Classes to resume. Dalhousie University expects students to return next Tuesday after a bitter contract dispute ends in a tentative deal.
Tidal. Nunavut residents challenge the Bay of Fundy's claim to having the highest tides in the world.
And meet the Nova Scotia TikToker helping others identify bird calls.
Mostly sunny skies again on Wednesday, but building clouds and a few showers rolling in for late week. Your full forecast is coming up.
It looks like classes at Dalhousie University could resume next week after more than 3 weeks of canceled classes due to a bitter labor dispute.
The Dalhousie Faculty Association members and the Board of Governors must still ratify the deal announced today. Dalhousie University locked out 1,000 professors, instructors, and other staff on August 20th, and the union began a defensive strike 2 days later. Issues included wages, expanded parental leave benefits, and flexible class scheduling policies. Staff
will hold a vote on Wednesday, and if they agree to the deal, are expected to return to work Thursday. Decisions on the future of the fall break and December exam schedule still need to be approved by the university's Senate. The university says a meeting on that will happen Monday.
Thousands of public servants are learning details of their next contract, which has been decided by an arbitrator. The binding order applies to both the provincial government and members of the NSGEU. The two sides agreed to arbitration after months of talks failed to produce a deal on wages, job security, and other issues. So far, no details about the new collective agreement have been released.
Immigration professionals and people applying to enter Canada say they're increasingly getting refusals that, in their opinion, don't make sense. Some believe the Immigration Department's use of computer technology to speed up the process is to blame. Shayna Luck reports.
Chania Ajwani and Jay Dave married in 2023. She's a Canadian citizen who lives in Montreal. He's an Indian citizen. They applied for spousal sponsorship long-term, and in the meantime, a visitor visa.
What was more important was both of us staying together.
Their visa application was rejected for lack of funds, but the couple says they both submitted proof of good incomes.
There was anger, I'm not going to lie.
Their immigration consultant is a former immigration officer. She says she's getting more refusals she thinks are poorly considered.
Officers have a lot of pressure to do a lot of decision extremely fast, and that's when these problems occur.
IRCC has a backlog of more than 900,000 cases, and it's faced pressure to process cases quickly. But recently, in an open letter, immigration lawyers say they're getting decisions that make no sense, and linking that to some tech meant to speed things up. IRCC acknowledged it is using technology to help, but said in a statement, no final decisions are made by artificial intelligence, and our tools do not refuse or recommend refusing applications. This Toronto immigration lawyer points to an applicant who was refused for not submitting a birth certificate, except, he says, it was included.
It does not instill the confidence we need in an immigration system to foster a belief that we are processing applicants in a fair and transparent manner.
This Vancouver immigration lawyer is concerned by one particular tool developed to allow officers to examine, approve, or refuse multiple cases at the same time.
I think that this bulk and blanket treatment of individuals definitely has had a negative impact on the system.
IRCC says decisions are made by highly trained officers who assess each application. As for Ajwani and Dave, they asked for their case to be re-examined.
I know that's not how Canada functions. Like, our immigration system is quite fair.
And the IRCC changed its decision on review. Shayna Luck, CBC News, Halifax.
And Ryan Snoddon with us now.
On another sunny day.
Another sunny day. It's sounding like a broken record here, but yeah, the warm, dry weather continues over the next couple of days. Tom and Amy, high pressure in firm control here. And so we're really not going to see much in terms of wet weather. Even as we move into Thursday, we're going to see some increasing clouds and a few showers starting to creep their way up towards the west. of the province, in the southwest in particular. But as you can see here, this frontal boundary, this is going to be our big weather maker for the week, but even it will only be bringing a few showers with it, nothing substantial. It will, however, as it sweeps through, bring quite a cool down and a fall-like feel to kick off the weekend. We'll talk about that with your full 7-day forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
All right. Details on the way. Thanks so much, Ryan.
Thank you.
Nova Scotia's Bay of Fundy is renowned for having the highest tides in the world, but another Canadian body of water is now challenging the tidal title. Brett Ruskin has more.
This is Leaf Basin, home to some very high tides.
So when the tide goes out, you can walk for kilometers.
But are they the highest in the world? Leaf Basin is located in northern Quebec, roughly 1,500 kilometers north of the Bay of Fundy. That, most people say, is where you'll find the world's highest tides.
The Bay of Fundy is very well established. It has all the attractions and so forth.
But Peta Atami points out that according to the Guinness Book of World Records, there are two records, one for the Bay of Fundy and one established in 1953 for Leaf Basin. Over the past year, researchers have used these underwater gauges to measure the tides in Leaf Basin, and the results came back showing the difference between high tide and low tide is around a half meter greater in Leaf Basin compared to the Bay of Fundy.
So we were all elated, all the people that got the report and said, here's the proof. You do have the highest tide in the world. So I started clapping and saying that we'll have to tell the world now.
But does this tidal turmoil mean they're headed towards a Bay of Fundy feud?
We don't have any ill will towards the Bay of Fundy. I'm happy that this tidal will stay in Canada.
And for their part, the Guinness Book of World Records says that they have the information in hand. They are waiting for some kind of government authority to authenticate the results of this report. The Department of Fisheries and Oceans says they have the report as well. They are analyzing it. It would be more compelling, though, if we were to do another study with sensors and gauges here at the Bay of Fundy, sensors and gauges in Leaf Basin, analyze the results taken at the same time. As for the province of Nova Scotia here, they say that this natural wonder has been drawing tourists here for decades, and they don't have any plans to give up the record just yet. So even though the tides seem to be changing, doesn't seem to be any government officials ready to rock the boat on this one anytime soon. Brett Ruskin, CBC News, Wolfville, Nova Scotia.
A Nova Scotia Mi'kmaq chief has been appointed to a federal Indigenous Advisory Council. It is part of Prime Minister Mark Carney's push to move forward with several what he calls nation-building projects. Member 2 Chief Terry Paul is one of 11 First Nations, Inuit, Métis, and Indigenous council members. The projects include mines and energy works, as well as ports and other infrastructure. Paul says Indigenous communities want revenue sharing and to be able to invest in the projects and get access to the jobs they create.
I would certainly like to see is that whatever revenues the government get from these projects, that the Indigenous people get also. But not only that, but to be able to participate in the projects that are approved by Indigenous people.
Paul says the federal government's nation-building projects should help improve Indigenous people's standard of living.
Nova Scotia's Auditor General is calling on the province to tighten up oversight for the thousands of replacement and new long-term care beds being constructed. Kim Adair's new report found documentation to justify about 1,000 beds was lacking. She also found that 4,000 beds were not awarded in keeping with the Public Procurement Act. Rather, they were first offered to existing operators, which the province argues is a permissible approach.
There is nothing in the Provincial Procurement Act that allows for this, what they refer to as the right of first refusal to the existing service providers. And it's our view that they could address any concerns that they cited to us through the tendering process. It's a significant tab, $8.5 billion over the next 25 years. They should be publicly procured.
The province has promised 5,700 replacement and new nursing home beds by 2032.
It's a major milestone in the hub of Nova Scotia. 2025 marks 150 years since Truro was incorporated as a town. Luke Ettinger went out to see how the occasion is being marked.
Some of the hemlocks in Victoria Park predate Truro's incorporation as a town in 1875. To mark the occasion, more than 150 trees have been planted in public green spaces.
Most of the trees we planted in Victoria Park and around town this year are deciduous trees, so if we can keep them in the landscape for 100 years, I'd be happy about that.
The majority of species are from the Acadian Wabanaki forest, but almost a third are from the Carolinian forest in a bid to adapt to climate change.
And then we have the habitat hunt. So for this, we've got a salamander stroll and roll.
The Parks and Recreation Department has also launched a guidebook for youth.
We're trying to enhance, get kids out into nature and get them some outdoor education and get a better understanding of the flora and fauna in Victoria Park.
Meanwhile, the Colchester Historical Society is also hoping to engage the community in the anniversary, sharing the town's story on walking tours.
So our task really is to get people interested in the history of their town. If the next time they're out walking downtown, they decide to look up at the buildings and wonder about them and maybe ask us some questions later, then we've done our job.
Known affectionately as the hub of Nova Scotia, Truro is the province's most populated town. Local historians say there were a few factors that led to growth all those years ago.
The biggest one would be the railway. The train station in Truro opened in 1858 and connected to Halifax. About 10 years later, it connected to Pictou and then to Amherst and so on. The second would be the founding of the Provincial Normal School in Truro, which brought many students from across the province and beyond to learn how to be teachers. So this created another population boom.
McClellan says the tour can only scratch the surface of the community's history, which began more than 11,000 years ago with the Mi'kmaq. So he's hoping the public will continue to check out the exhibits and dive into the archives at the Colchester Historium. Luke Ettinger, CBC News, Truro.
Costco is considering opening another store in the Halifax area, according to Mayor Andy Fillmore. In a statement to CBC, Fillmore said, as he understands it, the box store giant is exploring the possibility of a third store in HRM. Rumors have swirled for months that Costco could be coming to Middle Sackville, and Fillmore says that location is the, quote, leading candidate. However, the councillor for the area says nothing is confirmed. The CBC has reached out to Costco but has not yet received a response.
A Halifax woman has become a TikTok sensation by matching bird noises with funny real-world sounds. She's known as Girl in White Glasses online.
And she recently turned her hand-illustrated TikTok videos into a book. Molly McNaughton has the story.
Have you ever come across a bird song that sounds like the theme to The Price is Right? Or maybe it sounds like a doorstop. Becca Rowland, known as the Girl in White Glasses on TikTok, stumbled into a huge online following, all because she wanted to impress her mom, who loves cardinals.
One day a bird was singing in a tree and she knew immediately, that's a cardinal! And she spun around, just like hearing a sound like that. And I realized watching her, I didn't know what a cardinal sounded like. So I wanted to learn that sound so I could tell my mother that I heard her favorite bird. And then it just sort of exploded from that.
She began posting on Instagram, with her first video gaining 100,000 views. By the third, she reached 1 million. After moving to TikTok, it blew up so much that Story Publishing reached out to Rowland to write a book.
I didn't know people on the internet could be so lovely. They've been so kind and nice and funny, and I've had such amazing conversations. Quite a few people saying that I've solved a mystery for them. There's a sound of a bird at their grandma's house when they were a kid, and they could never figure out what bird it was. And when I play the video, they're like, that's it, that's the bird that I remember from my childhood.
Rowland says now, all kinds of people send her bird videos from their backyard asking for identification. It's something she finds happiness in. And Rowland says she wants people to feel joy while identifying birds.
It's not that what I'm saying is the sound is the definitive sound. It's just a way of framing the sound so that you remember it, so then you know what that bird is. The common eider is a duck that sounds like it's enjoying the fireworks, so it makes like ooh, ah noises, which is really adorable coming from this big fluffy white duck.
Rowland hopes that her videos and book will inspire people to be a little more cognizant of our world's beautiful feathered friends. Molly McNaughton, CBC News, Halifax.
All right, favorite bird sound?
I don't
we
know.
have 2 cardinals in our backyards these days, yeah. I'm not going to try the call right now, no, but they're beautiful and they make a lovely sound.
Now
for sure.
I just hear the Price is Right theme, that's all. Ryan's up next with his full weather forecast.
This weather update is brought to you by Access Wellness Nova Scotia. Book your appointment today for free, confidential mental wellness support.
All right, I know it's not quite the end of summer officially yet, but I think it's safe to say this was a summer of sun.
Yeah, we saw lots of sun today, and over the summer, the numbers back it up, right?
Yeah, that's right. So this today, you may have seen noticed this on my Blue Sky account or Facebook from Brian on Blue Sky, and Climatologist49 is his handle. And this is basically the cloud departure from normal for the summer. So this is June, July, and August. And where you're seeing the grays, that's where it was actually cloudier than normal through the central part of the United States. But there's one area in particular that really stands out on this map in the bright yellow, and that is, yes, us here in the Maritimes. And that area in yellow is more than 9% in terms of more sunshine, more than 9% above average in terms of the amount of sunshine. And you can see the 11 and 13 little circles there across Nova Scotia. That is more than 11, 12, 13% more sun than normal for the summer months. So
it was sunny.
It was sunny.
That's
Backing
true.
it up for sure. And we've been talking, of course, at length about how dry it was, but also how sunny it has been. And there's the sunshine breaking in yet again on this beautiful evening. Parsborough, Rockcliffe, next to Nova Scotia webcams for this beautiful shot. And yeah, it is an absolutely stunning evening yet again. And you can see that the temperatures here across the Maritimes, as we just saw, one of the sunniest places in North America this summer. And you can see it was another beautiful day, another beautiful evening. 25 right now in Keji. That was indeed our hotspot today, as expected. The winds generally light out there. We're looking at some gusts, upwards of 30 at last check at Port Hawkesbury. Got a bit of cloud cover in the mix across Cape Breton, but overall, another brilliantly sunny day, thanks to this area of high pressure moving its way off. And that storm track, the much needed rain we need, continues to track off to the south. This system is an interesting one, spinning its way up. Some chatter online. This could have maybe been a subtropical storm, a named subtropical storm. The National Hurricane Center deciding not to do that, but we'll be watching that, throw maybe a few showers spinning up into our mix, but that area of high pressure is going to keep it blocked to the south. This is our next front, which is dragging some cooler fall-like air into the prairies over the next couple of days, and that will spill eastward into our neck of the woods by the time we get to the weekend. Overnight lows tonight generally in the high single digits across the east, high single, low double digits across the south and west. Low-lying areas, central and east, could dip into the 3, 4, 5 range, and so there is a risk of some patchy frost for you folks, primarily inland low-lying areas in the east. So just a heads up on that. We've got some increasing clouds for Wednesday, but overall it's going to stay mainly sunny. This is generally high-level cloud that will work its way in on Wednesday. But we're looking at a really, really nice day. Again, temperatures 21 to 25, southwest winds near 20 for Cape Breton. 21 to 25 across eastern parts of the mainland as well. Warmest temps with this southwest flow are going to be across the north shore tomorrow, in and around Cobequid Bay, and back into the Annapolis Valley as well. We'll see temperatures near 20 along the South Shore region, and we're going to be into the 23 to 25 range across the north. We are looking at a couple of spotty showers in the mix Thursday. Now, I know this model saying Thursday morning, but it looks like the greatest chance of actually a few drops making it down to the ground will be Thursday afternoon. Even that, I'm not overly convinced will occur. We're looking at, again, the better potential for Thursday evening into the overnight. But things will cloud up a little bit in through the western parts of the province on Thursday with those spotty shower chances into the latter half of the day. That little wave will push off. This is the front that we're watching for Friday. Quiet to start the day, some showers approaching Friday afternoon into Friday evening. And I do think the clouds will be a bit more stubborn than what this forecast model is showing as well. So generally speaking, I think the clouds will dominate on Friday. Some sun breaks, certainly possible. Temperatures near 21. Eastern area showers on Saturday. So Cape Breton and the North Shore will likely see some showers with that cooler flow as well. Temperatures right around 15 degrees. So that's going to feel like fall, no question. And then temperatures building again as we move into next week. And speaking of next week, I will update that National Hurricane Center tropical outlook coming up later on in the show, along with your viewer picture.
Yeah, we'll want to see it. Okay, thanks so much, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan. People living on Grand Manan, an isolated island in the Bay of Fundy, are on edge about the risk of wildfire.
They're dealing with the driest summer on record. And as the CBC's Kayla Hounsell shows us, residents there are especially vulnerable.
Grand Manan firefighters are doing what they have to do to make sure they're ready when the call comes. Uniquely challenged, they're using this pond to fill a tank that usually fills naturally with rainwater.
It's been a lot drier than normal, and it's getting dangerous.
A remote island in the Bay of Fundy, Grand Manan is known for its scenic views and bird watching. An hour and a half on this ferry is the only way to and from mainland New Brunswick. Yes, it's surrounded by water, but they can't use ocean water to fight fires because the salt impacts the electronics in their trucks. Brooks are dangerously low, and there's no municipal water supply. Firefighters worked desperately and successfully to prevent this house fire from spreading to the woods.
There's only us until somebody else comes, and you can only chase it so long.
That concern so real, residents have formed a drone group.
Take off.
Volunteering to scan the skies for smoke. That effort started when smoke from this wildfire in Nova Scotia reached the island, causing panic.
If we're in trouble, we're in bad trouble, because it would take hours, if not days, for other departments to come and help us.
As firefighters and residents alike work to prevent wildfire, municipal leaders are also thinking about what they would do in a worst-case scenario where there is a wildfire and they have to evacuate this entire island.
Recognizing you can't just get in your car and drive down the road if there is an emergency and you need to leave.
Around 2,600 people live here.
We think in just over 24 hours, in theory, you could move everybody off the island, including tourists and visitors.
Chief Brown has been a firefighter here for 45 years.
It's just, we're a big family, so. Yep.
As they work to protect their island home, he says what they really need is rain. Kayla Hounsell, CBC News on Grand Manan Island, New Brunswick.
Coming up, we'll hear how this year's drought is impacting Nova Scotia's giant pumpkin crop.
This year's drought has been tough on pumpkin patches in Nova Scotia, including here in Windsor at Dill Family Farm, where they've been growing super-sized pumpkins for decades. And I'm here with Danny Dill, and you've got some. To me, they look like big pumpkins, but to you, they're undersized.
Oh yeah, I mean these ones right now look big to a lot of people, of course, but not to me. Our giant pumpkins right now are about half the size they should be. I'm guessing most of them are 300, 600 pound range. Last year we had ones over 1,000 pounds at this time. So obviously it was the drought. We tried our best to water, but it's not the same as the rain, and it is what it is.
How disappointing is that for you?
Very, just all the work that goes into it, and just the last few years, like 2 years ago, flood, washed out the fields, some are underwater, and you just go from one extreme to the other. So, yeah, it's been a challenge, really.
Now you've got the Pumpkin Way Off coming up on, October 4th?
Yes, October 4th.
So folks come here with their pumpkins. Do you think maybe there'll be some bigger ones?
Yes.
And why is that?
I just know a few growers that have done well for some reason. Maybe they had, we grow a lot of them, but they only grow 2 or 3. And anyhow, they really look after them, water and everything, fertilizer. And yeah, I expect there could be one here over 1,500.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that'd be pretty impressive for a year like this. I mean, they come from different areas. A grower from New Glasgow just sent me some updates. He's looking around 1,000 pounds. So who knows? Hopefully lots of surprises.
Of course, the big ones you want for the regatta. I know you started the regatta in Windsor, in '99, and now it's moved to Shelburne. Do you think they're going to be big enough for people to actually carve out and float?
Well, that's a good question. I really don't know yet. Till we see what comes for the way off. Of course, they take, they need a certain shape. Some of these here just won't work. They're just too tipsy. They just won't. They might be big enough. I mean, I already told Shelburne, you might want to start looking at some smaller competitors. And they were okay. I said, you're like 6 foot person. I just don't think it's going to cut it this year.
And how big a blow is that to sort of the lore of having the regatta, the fun that people have with it?
Well, bigger the better. Whether it's a pumpkin way off, regatta, the more pumpkins in the water, the more fun and excitement, the spills and the splashes and, everything. It all adds to it. Yeah.
Well, and visiting a pumpkin patch or going to a corn maze, it's a tradition in the fall, right?
Awesome.
How much is that going to change, do you think, this year?
That's another good question. It's hard to tell. All indications, people are coming already. I mean, they do their valley run, the apple orchards, the U-picks, corn mazes, so forth, farm markets. It's like the fall harvest and everything. And yeah, I've heard of corn maze. It's not even, they're going to open, but they're not charging. It's just it's not tall enough. And yeah, it's unfortunate, but you try to make the best of it that you can, and we plan to too. I've already noticed people coming and buying squash, and they're buying lots. And they probably know something like, we're stocking up now because there might not be any in a couple months.
So when people are going to be out looking for a pumpkin for a jack-o'-lantern, do you think they're going to be more expensive or not as pretty?
Well, they're all pretty in their own way. I hope not to charge more this year. I try to keep the price the same. A lot of our regular, pumpkins that we sell, there's a lot of different varieties. Some that grow 30, 40 pound size. This year, there'll be about 20 pound size. So, you got to have a lower price on them. But some varieties did good, some didn't make it. Whether it's squash, pumpkins, and then, people will be coming. Oh, you don't have this, or how come so small? Well, obviously, we went through a drought.
And not just the size, but the shape is off too, right?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of factors involved. Like, the weather plays a lot in it. And, you know, I'm just hoping things change soon, because like we're in our 4th month of this, and just some rain to freshen things up. And I hate to see it. You notice like we have some blankets over these. We cover up to keep the sun off the giants, because we're afraid maybe all this heat, you know, hitting them, that it might start softening them up. So you try what you can do.
And you're also dealing with the lack of duty-free now going to the U.S. when you're selling your seeds. How is that putting another problem on your plate?
Just like put salt on the wound. Yeah, that's good. This time of year we don't send out many, but the day before this come into effect, we had 2 orders to go to the U.S. Small packets, have our customs things all done, all ready, and they know us well. Thought I'd get them off before it took an effect the next day. No, they wouldn't let them through. And they tried, and one was only worth $6, but no. So right now we're just putting a hold on it to hopefully things change, we learn more about it. But the way I look at it, it's like we have to collect 35% tax for another country and then remit that to them first before we can even send our product. And I think that's what everybody is going to be dealing with. Like, I just find a problem with that.
So it's been a tough season all around.
Well, yeah, there's just too much of this. I don't know what you want to call it. It's not going to work. It can't work.
All right. Well, thank you for taking us through all of this. We appreciate your time.
You're quite welcome. I mean, we've been through many a different, like you said, decades, so we've seen them all. So we just keep plugging along.
Coming up, the scale of death, aid blockages, and forced displacement are some of the reasons the United Nations now says Israel is committing genocide in Gaza.
And former Deputy Prime Minister and longtime Liberal Minister Chrystia Freeland is stepping down from cabinet. Welcome back. A United Nations report has concluded that Israel has committed genocide in Gaza.
It cites examples of the scale of killings, aid blockages, and forced displacement to back up its finding. But Israeli officials have condemned the findings. The CBC's Chris Brown brings us more.
On the same day, an Israeli cabinet minister proclaimed Gaza is burning. A UN-commissioned inquiry said Israel is committing genocide.
The ongoing genocide in Gaza is a moral outrage and a legal emergency.
The panel of experts say the scale of civilian deaths, including more than 18,000 children, the deliberate blocking of aid, repeated forced displacements, and the destruction of a fertility clinic for Palestinians all adds up to genocide. The panel says Israel's most senior leaders, including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, are directly responsible.
These deaths are not accidents. They are not collateral damage. They are the direct consequence of a military strategy of saturation bombing and scorched earth.
Israeli officials dispute Gaza's death toll and the figures from the Hamas-run health ministry. They also did not participate in the inquiry and condemn the findings.
The report relies entirely on Hamas falsehoods, laundered and repeated by others.
In Tel Aviv, other Israelis also rejected the conclusions.
Nobody's trying to get rid of the Palestinians. We're actively trying to get rid of Hamas, which are only doing worse to the Palestinians.
As they watched a long procession of displaced families stream out of Gaza City, many Palestinians say the UN report is coming too late to change anything for them. Where is the decision to arrest Netanyahu, says Muhammad Ali. Why haven't they arrested him yet? What are they waiting for? The report comes as Israel's army launched its ground assault on Gaza City, much of which was already in ruins. The IDF says their goal is to kill Hamas's remaining fighters and to free Israeli hostages, although within the IDF there are reportedly grave doubts about the operation. The panel does not officially speak for the United Nations, which has not used the term genocide, although it is now facing pressure to do so. Widespread horror at Israel's conduct in Gaza has prompted some European nations to impose arms embargoes or threaten cultural boycotts. Benjamin Netanyahu has said Israelis need to prepare for more isolation as he's not changing course. Chris Brown, CBC News, London.
U.S. authorities have formally charged the man accused of killing American conservative activist Charlie Kirk. 22-year-old Tyler Robinson faces a charge of murder and other crimes, and if convicted, the death penalty.
I am filing a notice of intent to seek the death penalty. I do not take this decision lightly, and it is a decision I have made independently.
The Utah County Attorney cited the evidence, the circumstances, and the nature of the crime as reasons for that decision. Tyler Robinson also faces firearms charges, obstruction of justice, witness tampering, and committing a violent offense in the presence of a child.
Former Deputy Prime Minister and longtime Liberal Cabinet Minister Chrystia Freeland has resigned from Cabinet and announced she plans on ending her career in politics. But as Ashley Burke reports, the Prime Minister has given Chrystia Freeland a new role.
Chrystia Freeland arriving to Cabinet for what would be the last time.
Are you ready for
Hours later, the Prime Minister walking her out of the meeting past the cameras with no comment, after it turns out Freeland resigned as Transport and Internal Trade Minister. Freeland later announcing online, "I have decided to step down from Cabinet today and turn the page on this chapter of my life. I do not intend to run in the next federal election." She wrote that after a 12-year political career, it's the right time to make way for others and seek new challenges.
It's a great day. Thank you.
The Prime Minister then posting he's tapping her for a role as Canada's new special representative for the reconstruction of Ukraine.
She knows the country. She has respect of the Ukrainian people. So I can't think of anything better than for her to be doing that.
Freeland, a former journalist of Ukrainian descent, was front and center with the former Prime Minister visiting Ukraine, helping lead Canada's efforts to support it and fight Russian aggression. She speaks the language fluently, And a source says she'll be working with Ukrainian leaders to help rebuild its economy.
The work that Chrystia will lead on Ukraine will be deeply impactful, not just for the war, but for Canada's national security.
Sunny ways, guys, sunny ways.
Freeland's been a fixture on the Liberals' front line since the beginning of Justin Trudeau's government.
I think that Chrystia is a great Canadian who broke a lot of barriers. She was our first female finance minister.
She's also served as a foreign affairs minister, deputy prime minister, and landed a renegotiated NAFTA deal with Donald Trump, who's repeatedly said he doesn't like her.
She was terrible, actually. She was a terrible person.
This is Freeland's second high-profile resignation. She left Trudeau's cabinet in December and then ran to replace him.
Part of her legacy will be bringing down Justin Trudeau. I think Canadians will remember that. I think Liberals will remember that.
She's a giant in Canadian politics, so I wish her the very best, and I thank her for all her years of service.
Sources say Freeland will resign soon as an MP, but a date hasn't been set yet, and that this new role helping Ukraine is just one of the tasks she plans to take on. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
Canada's annual inflation rate notched higher in August. Statistics Canada says it rose to 1.9% last month. Gas prices rose 1.4% month over month in August, and the cost of groceries rose 3.5%. Rising rents and mortgage interest costs remain the biggest factors pushing the inflation rate higher. The update comes ahead of the Bank of Canada's interest rate decision on Wednesday.
The high cost of living in this country is reflected in a new report by Food Banks Canada. It says in 1 in 4 Canadian households, it's a struggle just to put food on the table. It also says many people are spending almost all their incomes on essentials like groceries, housing, and transportation. The CBC's Nicole Williams reports.
This food bank in Orillia, Ontario is busier than ever. Tell me what we're looking at here. What is this?
So we're expanding our fridge and freezers.
Bigger fridges, a bigger kitchen. But bigger isn't better.
So we're supporting around 1,700 individuals per month about 2 years ago. We're now supporting about 2,500 individuals per month. So it's definitely going up. We don't want to grow.
Food banks are great, but they're not, because they are an indication of something that is fundamentally wrong in our society.
The city is one of the latest in Ontario, being pushed to the brink by declaring a food insecurity emergency, stating nearly a third of households in the region are struggling to afford groceries.
So we're seeing this affect every community from coast to coast to coast.
In its annual poverty report card, Food Banks Canada has given this country a D. It highlights recent data from Statistics Canada that shows a 40% increase in poverty and food insecurity in the last 2 years, with a quarter of all households in Canada struggling to afford food.
A lot of people with jobs are now having to stop at the food bank on the way home from work instead of the grocery store because that's just out of reach.
It points to rising youth unemployment and a lack of affordable housing as some of the factors.
Personally, I can see nothing on the horizon that suggests that it's going to get better.
The Liberal government defending the work it's done to make life more affordable.
And the first measure that we implemented was to reduce taxes for 22 million Canadians, exactly to help families across our country. And we can be proud of this.
But Food Banks Canada says more needs to be done to combat food insecurity, including more funding for social supports and updating benefit programs for low-income Canadians. Nicole Williams, CBC News, Orillia, Ontario.
The man accused of smuggling a family who died near the Manitoba border is now in custody near Toronto, facing extradition to the U.S. India says he also faces charges there. Stephen D'Souza brings us this exclusive update.
Indian authorities allege Fennel Patel was a key player in the death of an Indian family attempting to cross illegally into the U.S. Now, after almost 3 years, CBC News has learned he's in custody. This follows a Fifth Estate investigation 2 years ago that drew on sources in India and the U.S. Did you leave them out there to die? In January 2022, Jagdish Patel, his wife Vaishali, 11-year-old daughter Vihangi, and 3-year-old son Dharmik froze to death after smugglers brought them to a remote field in Manitoba in minus 30-degree weather and a blinding snowstorm. Indian police say Fennel Patel was the smuggler who drove them to the border and left them there. But since the family's death, the RCMP would only say their investigation was ongoing. Meanwhile, in the U.S., 2 men were arrested and charged in the family's death. During their trial, a key prosecution witness, a convicted human smuggler, pointed the finger at Fennel Patel, saying he was the one responsible for transporting the family in Canada. But despite these new revelations, Fennel Patel continued to move about freely, even appearing at a restaurant opening with the mayor of Vaughan, a city north of Toronto. This immigration lawyer says because the smuggling ring is in the U.S., where they've already convicted 2 people, it would make sense to extradite Patel.
I think there were witnesses that testified at that trial. So all the resources are there. The United States is a receiving country, and there's a really easy extradition treaty between the United States.
The Canadian Justice Department confirmed to CBC News that the U.S. requested Patel be taken into custody, but they said any more details about the extradition request are confidential. U.S. justice officials declined to comment on the arrest. Stephen D'Souza, CBC News, Toronto.
Legendary American actor and director Robert Redford has died at the age of 89. His publicist confirms he passed away at his home in Utah.
Mr. and Mrs. Bratter.
How long will you be staying with us, Mr. Bratter?
6 days.
And nights?
Redford will be remembered as one of the great leading men in Hollywood. He soared to stardom in the 1970s in a string of classics, including Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, The Sting, and All the President's Men. Redford's directorial debut, Ordinary People, won him an Oscar in 1980. He founded the organization behind the annual Sundance Film Festival in Utah more than 40 years ago. For decades, Redford used his public profile to advocate for environmental issues.
Canada's main stock index finished lower today, weighed down by broad-based losses, while U.S. markets also lost ground. Here's a look at the numbers as we head to break.
This weather update is brought to you by Access Wellness Nova Scotia. Book your appointment today for free, confidential mental wellness support.
All right, you heard Ryan talking earlier about that dominating high-pressure system, but of course he has his eyes on all parts of the globe weather-wise.
I know, yeah, it's feeling tropical here, but in the tropics as well.
Yeah, that's right. And that, as promised, that tropical outlook updated will come in just a sec. Let's start with our viewer picture because it is a beautiful one. And we're going to zoom in on a part of the province. We've been in this neck of the woods before, but never to Lowland Cove. And we can thank Trish for this fantastic picture.
We should go there more often. That is beautiful.
Definitely.
Yeah, Trish with a nice big hike from Meat Cove to Lowland Cove. And yeah, worth the trip though. What a pick. Thank you so much to Trish for sharing this. Ryan's picks at cbc.ca. As promised, that tropical outlook. So that area in red is, well, with the X on it, that is the storms, the cluster of storms that is, you can see almost looking tropical stormish now, and it is a 90% chance of becoming Gabrielle over the next 2 days, over the next 48 hours, and a 90% chance over the next 7 as well. Now, as we look at the that little area to the right, that is to the east, that is that X there. You can't really see it, but a cluster of storms working off the coast of Africa with a 20% chance of becoming a tropical cyclone over the next 7 days. So those 2 areas to watch. Not much to watch here for tomorrow other than the sunshine. High pressure will continue to dominate. We have a couple of showers working their way up into the region for Thursday. Best chances for a shower will be in the west, and then a best chance for showers from that cold front coming through will be in the east. For Friday, we'll see eastern areas with a risk for a shower on Saturday as well. Cape Breton and the North Shore, primarily Cape Breton, with temperatures into the mid-teens on Saturday, feeling very fallish, especially compared to where we have been and where we'll be then after as temperatures rise again into next week.
Back up we go. Okay, Ryan, thanks so much. Well, September is the month when most outdoor public swimming pools close down for the season. But before they do, some like this pool in the UK host a party for a special group of swimmers. Take a look.
Yeah, pups of every breed were unleashed over the weekend in Brighton. They call this Dog Timber. It's billed as one of Britain's biggest canine swims.
150 dogs paddle and play with their owners and each other. And as you can see, they had a ball.
They sure did.
They don't care if it gets cold either.
Nope.
No.
That's it for us tonight. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Good night.
Good night.